Hey, what's up, everybody? Today we're looking at What Evolution Is by Ernst Mayr, who, like so many of the authors featured on this channel, was an evolutionary biologist. But there's something different about this guy. Like any other field of study, the books written by all these biologists I've been reading tend to mention the names of their predecessors, their mentors, and their heroes, whether out of respect or just to reference their work. Most notably would be Charles Darwin, but Ernst Mayr was another name that I've seen come up many times. And now that I've read this book, I can see why. Mayr's work as a biologist was mostly in developing species theory and picking up where Darwin left off, but his contributions to evolutionary biology overall have made him, in the words of my zoology professor, a guru. To put this book into perspective, I have to mention that there is no subject I've read more books about than evolution. And now I can see that so much of the things I've read by dozens of authors were reworded concepts covered or developed by Ernst Mayr. Seriously, you know how they say that when you die, your whole life flashes before your eyes? Well, reading this book was like having all of my evolution education flash before my eyes. So many concepts and specific examples I've heard other biologists make actually came from this man, who, by the way, was 96 when this book was published. So we're getting an entire lifetime of experience from one of the great scientists in the field, and I paid like $11 for this book. I'm going to go on record and say that What Evolution Is by Ernst Mayr is in the top three evolution books I've read. And as far as sheer expository knowledge dumping, it's number one, no question. The way the book is structured is it's just concept after concept, similar to like a textbook, but it's got my favorite format for nonfiction, something that I've mentioned several times on the channel, something I wish more nonfiction books did, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's broken into four main parts, um, with 12 chapters, and it's got subheadings and headings, and it even has text boxes as well as pictures and diagrams and stuff. You just can't get more organized than that, and I can't say enough about this kind of organization for nonfiction writing. When books are just solid blocks of text that span dozens of pages, I find that I'm less inclined to spend more time reading them. With books like this one, it's always a matter of, let me just get through one more subheading, and then I'll notice that the next one is only one page long, and before I know it, I've read four more chapters. And besides that, it's so great for going back to revisit a concept that you've read about. Everything is so easy to find, and you also have an index. I think this book is something that a person who hasn't studied evolution before could pick up, but some of the concepts are a little bit in depth. Some of the concepts covered in this book may be more at home if you've already studied genetics or zoology. Ernst is a great writer, though. He understood how to write a book that would appeal to scientists and at the same time a person who just wanted to see what evolution was all about. And the author had the consideration to include a glossary, and each of the words defined in the glossary is printed in bold in the text, so you know that that's a word that you can go look up. I guess now with smartphones, this isn't as important, but it does say something about the author. Another really great thing about this book is it features a two-part index. We have what criticisms have been made of evolutionary theory and short answers to frequently asked questions about evolution. I should add that this book was published in 2001, but don't let that deter you from reading it. This book is really only somewhat dated in part 4, Human Evolution, and only a little bit. And I'll say it again, this is quite probably the best book on evolution I've read. Some of them are more enticing and poetic, and some of them focus more on the field and natural world. But man, as far as how much you're going to learn and what you're going to learn, This book just blew my expectations out of the water. I can't believe I haven't heard about this book referenced anywhere specifically before. One more point I want to make is this book not a perfect example of don't judge a book by its cover? I mean, look at that hideous thing. That may very well be the dullest book cover I've ever seen. And I thought I lacked any aesthetic sensibilities. Look at this thing. This book surely deserves a better cover. That's a shame. So that's What Evolution Is by Ernst Mayr. And now I've decided I need to go back and read some of the works from all the other really great older biologists whom I see referenced in the contemporary literature. I'm currently reading a book of essays by J.B.S. Haldane, which is pretty good, but it's not as good as this book. But I'm really looking forward to after that. The next two books I'm going to read: In the Heart of the Amazon Forest by 1800s naturalist and explorer Walter Henry Bates, and My Life in Science, which is about the Nobel Prize winning geneticist Sidney Brenner. These kinds of things right here are why I love reading so much. So let me know if you've read any of the older generation of biologists, or any discipline in science for that matter. I'd love to hear what you think about them and maybe how they compare and contrast to more modern writers. Okay, that's it for this one, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. This was the best book I've read in a while, from the first page to the last. If you're interested in biology or the animal world or just nature, check out What Evolution Is by Ernst Mayr.